Oh, that'd help. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Pursuant to the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10:4-10, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by advertising such notice in the Home News Tribune, the Asbury Park Press, the Board Office, the schools, and on Cablevision Channel 118 and Verizon Vios Channel 24, and by filing such notice with the Township Clerk. This meeting was scheduled for Tuesday, June 19th, 2018. The Board will take formal action on payment of bills and other agenda items. Mr. Mara?
The Old Bridge Township Board of Education acknowledges that the law of this state establishes that members of the public, including members of the board, have the right to record public board meetings using audio or video recording devices, provided that that act of recording does not interfere with the business of this public board meeting. Therefore, the board makes it known that any such recording is to be considered the private recording of the individual and in no manner represents the official record of this board. The board therefore takes no responsibility for such private recording and completely disavows any future use.
Roll call, Mr. Mara?
Callie,
Present.
DeCarroll,
Present.
DePrima,
Here.
Dinoff,
Present.
Lent, Reed,
Here.
Singh,
Here.
Silikowski,
Present.
Dunn. Quorum exists.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ms. Lent advised that she would not be present today, and Mr. Dunn is going to be about an hour late. Rise for the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. This is a little difficult for me personally, but next week we will have a moment of silence. Of course, this district is very saddened by the tragic accident that took the lives of Zach and Jude Adenisi. And next week we will have a formal moment of silence for them. Please keep their family in your prayers. Okay, we need somebody to volunteer to read the Code of Ethics highlight of the month. Anybody? Mrs. DeCaro? Oh, you did? Okay. Okay. District goals and board goals. We'll have the approval of the minutes and the report of the student representative. And now I guess I'm going over to recognition, and we do have some.
Yes, so it's a very interesting evening, and the way the recognition works out at the end of the year, we have so many things to be recognized, so many positive things going on in the district. And then when we moved the meetings back a week, we did not want to interrupt those who had already planned to be here on the 19th for the formal recognition to the 26th, because a lot of families do start vacationing right afterwards. So we're going to have recognition on both nights. So I think it's great that we can do that at both the agenda meeting and the full board meeting. So there are a few parties here that will be recognized, but I'm going to start off with one of our own who's been with us all year, and that'd be Victoria Chanowski, who's up there, and she's behind the camera at all our board meetings. But she was recently recognized, winning third place in the state's largest film festival, the Project FX Film Festival. And as I promised last month, that the public and the board would be treated to a showing of her film. If anybody would like any popcorn, there's popcorn over by the water over there, as I promised, and that's why the board has some popcorn here. So, Victoria, take it away. Excellent, thank you. So, Victoria, great job. I think we all loved your video there. Well deserved. I saw a little bit of touches of Castaway with Finding Nemo, little Moby Dick, everything going on there. Great job. So we also have another video that I wanted to show the board and to the public that we're very proud of. Our elementary drum line, which is very unique to Old Bridge. It's one of those only in Old Bridge type things that we have here, and we're very proud of that. The students are very talented under the direction of Mr. Anthony Good and Mr. Colin Bell. They're both here this evening. If you gentlemen please stand up. There we go. So under their own initiative, they kind of wanted to expanding our music offerings for our students down to elementary program, started a really tremendous elementary drum line. And to promote it more, made a sensational video that we're going to show you tonight. A lot of individual time was put into this by staff, students, so please take it away. I'm sure you'll find it as beautiful as I did. Okay, well, thank you very much. Great job on that video. From there, can you shout out who's the young lady in there that most of us probably don't know who aren't on YouTube a lot?
Her name's Amanda Muse. She's a popular drummer online, social media, Instagram. She has 10,500 followers. She makes these individual drumming videos. She went to West Carolina University, correct? And she's very popular in the drumming community, so she reached out to us, wanted to do a clinic with her.
Great job, great job. It was very professionally done too. I mean, it was looked like something that we'd see on like, from anyway, public television or something like that. It was a great job. So, wonderful. While we're along the lines of our music department and everything that it does, I'd like to have Ms. Thatcher please come up to the podium. Ms. Thatcher, I have a certificate here for the Old Bridge Elks. We're going to do that this evening, and part of the conversation we're going to have in recognition for the indoor percussion, we're going to push back to next week. That works for you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So why don't you tell us about the grant and what it's going to mean to the indoor percussion?
All right, for those of you that do not know, the Old Bridge Marching Knights have been selected to represent the state of New Jersey at the anniversary of Pearl Harbor this December. So this is a really big accomplishment. We were selected for the D-Day anniversary in Normandy, France, if you remember back, I believe that was 2015. And because of our time over there, they asked us actually immediately to come back to do the Hawaii Pearl Harbor anniversary, But we waited a few years, and they reached out to me, I want to say, a year and a half ago to invite us. So this was a huge accomplishment to be asked for such two pretty big anniversary of major parts of our history. So we're really excited to have the Marching Knights represent, Old Bridge and the state of New Jersey, and not only that, but the United States. In that, I had the Old Bridge Elks reach out to me via email. Are they here tonight? The Exalted Ruler Renee Bingert and the trustee Frank Tevis. All right, I thought that they would be here tonight. But they reached out to me to offer a $1,700 grant that they were able to give to a community organization. So they reached out to me, asked me if we could use that for the Pearl Harbor trip, and I, of course, said that would be amazing. So they wrote us a check and delivered it this week, and we are just very thankful because that certainly helps defray the students' costs for this amazing opportunity. So I just want to thank the Old Bridge Elks for that.
Thank you, Melissa, and I know that Ms. Keeler could not be here tonight. She's attending the graduation of a very close family member, so we wish them congratulations there. And in recognition of, I just want to say publicly, for everything that the marching band and percussion has done, your work and in the work of that group of young people, I hear them out there practicing. They work very hard, and they are at the forefront of everything that is exemplary about our schools and our programs. They were bringing home championships and world recognition since way back when, and they really have put us on the map. When they're here next week, I have a special presentation for them as well. And again, thank you for your work, and Mr. Good and Mr. Bell and everyone who was involved in the music program, because you really have, again, to have a national organization reach out, almost imploring us to represent the nation in Hawaii, and after following up with in Normandy, France, only speaks volumes about our program and what our students accomplished through that hard work. So thank you very much. And now we're going to have the ROTC members come on up here. Can I have the ROTC all up here? And then while you're up here facing the audience, and nice, I'm going to trust that the ROTC can get in line and turn and face the audience, probably in some way that is very easy to photograph. We might have to do two lines because we don't have a wide-angle lens. So, they're tall in the back. There you go. See that? We are in good shape. Even though you can't see me, I'm just going to thank them, and I'll tell you why. This ROTC collected over 11,000 pounds of food for the Middlesex County Outreach Food Bank. That is one of the highest they've ever received, to have one group collect over 11,000 pounds. Imagine how many shopping carts that is. That is amazing commitment to making our county and our people in our county well-fed year-round. Great job, Air Force ROTC. I have a nice certificate for you to take back, and another award to hang in your office that is riddled with awards. So great job. Congratulations, Air Force ROTC. Can you bring this back to you? Thank you so much. Thank you. No. Thank you. All right, I see a lot of kids here, though. Oh, there she is. All right. Okay. All right, Ms. Coletti, are you ready? I'll now bring Ms. Coletti, the principal of McDivitt School, to the dais, and she's going to recognize some students from the school. Move the board to recognize the following fourth grade students from McDivitt Elementary School for their becoming the finalists in the fourth grade folder contest in partnership with the Drug Free New Jersey fourth grade folder contest. They are 3 of the 32 finalists of over 4,000 entries. We'll have Anaya Kul, come on up, Rayana Reza, and Ashwika Anand. There you go. Come to next. While they're standing there, Ms. Coletti, any words you'd like to sing praises for these young ladies?
Yes, first of all, I would like to say thank you very much for allowing us to come today to recognize the girls. It was a great honor. We went down to Point Pleasant, and at this time, I'd like to introduce our art teacher, Miss Laura McHugh, who really was very instrumental in helping the girls get into the contest and finish their folders. Laura?
Good evening, everyone. I must say this was a very busy year for me. I was a middle school art teacher for 13 years, and they asked me this year to go to elementary. I was a little nervous and excited because I thought maybe I would be taller than some of my students. So I was warmly welcomed to McDivitt. It was a school that my boys went to a few years ago. And I felt like it was home. And I want to thank Mrs. Coletti and all of the staff for welcoming me with open arms. It was really a great first year for me in elementary. I tried my hardest to enter as many contests as possible. I don't want to say too many because we won every contest that we entered. So that was awesome. So we were busy. I would like to honor 3, you had already mentioned their names, Mr. Cetadino, but I would like to honor these 3 excellent art students tonight, Rehana, Anya, and Ashwika. They won a spot on a poster for the 4th grade contest for a partnership for a drug-free New Jersey. I had every 4th grade student enter the contest, and they were to create a picture, and the theme was fun things to do instead of drugs. I am happy to say that these 3 students made the top 32 onto the poster. That was over 4,250 entries. So those odds are pretty darn incredible. So I want to thank them. They were awesome. We received a luncheon, excellent. We went to the aquarium. They got certificates and medals, and it was a really proud day for Mrs. Coletti and myself. So we want to thank them so much. All right, so then we entered the 5th grade contest. Oh,
Okay.
I'm
Well,
sorry.
why don't you, before they come off the stage, can we have Ms. Coletti and Ms. McHugh take the picture together with them? And while you're doing that, I'll read the next recognition. Okay? So our second recognition also comes from McDivitt School. And it's going to be moved the board to recognize the following students from McDivitt Elementary School for their achievements in Keep Middlesex Moving. There was a bookmark design contest for their grade level, and these students and their artwork was featured on the back of the bookmark and distributed to schools throughout the county during the 2018-19 school year. So the upcoming year, these are the bookmarks that will be handed out in the school libraries, and it'll feature the work of Shane Dougal, Nathan Ferrer, and Lily Kelly. Why don't you 3 ladies please come up? Maybe Sean. Is that Sean? Okay. Excellent. So why don't you guys can sit here and listen to all the great things that Ms. McHugh and Ms. Coletti have to say about you.
I entered the fifth grade McDivitt students in a contest that was called Bookmark for Keeping Middlesex Moving, and the theme was Travel Green, Travel Clean, and Lily Kelly won that. We had a breakfast at Forest Gate Country Club, and she won a $100 gift card, so that was awesome. Next, we enter the third grade bookmark contest, Keep Middlesex Moving, and the other two boys, Sean and Nathan, were runners-up, and their bookmark picture will be on the back of the bookmarks that will also be distributed through New Jersey, or through Middlesex County, excuse me.
Everybody in our school got it.
Everyone in our school also was awarded one of the bookmarks, so it was a proud day. So thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. You guys can come down.
Now, I'm going to be brave enough to ask, is anyone here to be recognized that I have not recognized yet? No, so we've reached everyone who's going to be recognized at this meeting, and then we'll have continuation of those who are on the agenda that couldn't make it tonight. We'll be here next week, and we have a few more items to add to next week's on the 26th for recognition. Okay? Thank you so much for those. If you, we do not have a student report, so if any of you young people are here that were recognized, and if you want to stay and learn about how board meetings work, please do so. If you want to go home because you might have some end-of-the-year projects to work on, some homework to work on, or just going out to get some ice cream with your parents, you can do that as well at this time. Make a graceful exit, and we appreciate your attendance here tonight. Yeah, please do. Yeah. Well, so,
You recognize people, so we need to move this, right?
yeah, but you can do it after they leave, right?
Do 1 through 8 next week.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
There's also a fundraiser tonight at Rita's until 9.
Okay.
for the ROTC.
Okay, that's even better. I just learned that there's a fundraiser for the ROTC at Rita's tonight, so that might be a good place to go to celebrate your achievements tonight. Rita's 516. If you're still there when I...
Okay, we're going to continue with the superintendent's report.
So if the board members, we'll have two things in the superintendent's report. I'm going to have a presentation on an elementary science proposal with Mr. Bill Schmoker. While he's setting this up, I will just have the board to take a look at a handout I gave to you. This is the annual report of our top 50 students coming out of the high school graduation and the universities that they're attending. Just to highlight some of the universities that are there, I won't repeat any. We have within the top 50, University of Pittsburgh, Rutgers University, TCNJ Medical Program, Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, MIT, Duke University, shout out there to our attorney, Rowan University, Rutgers New Brunswick, Stevens Tech, University of Maryland, University of British Columbia, University of Minnesota, Northeastern, the College of New Jersey, Indiana University, Cornell, Boston University, University of Delaware, NJIT, Ramapo, NYU, Purdue, Northeastern, again, I wasn't going to repeat anyone, George Washington University, University of Maryland Nursing Program, Virginia Tech, and Penn State University, all within the top 50, some of them a few times. So our students obviously are representing some of the most renowned universities out there in the country, and we even have a student who's going on scholarship to Beijing to learn in China for 4 years based upon his studies in our World Language China program. So, very, very nice. Okay, Mr. Smoker.
Thank you.
And Dr. Cascone.
I'm gonna tee it up for Mr. Smoker, and then very briefly, and then
This is like a spin-off of the curriculum committee meeting, right? You guys went
Correct.
over that.
yes,
You went over that there first, and we'll follow up.
correct. So one of the positive byproducts of us becoming much more proactive about our adoptions, our textbook adoptions, is that we're having conversations way earlier than we used to. So whereas in the fall, typically in October is when we would bring forward new adoption proposals to be considered in the creation of the budget, which we will still do. We're making our decisions in terms of selecting the program of choice even earlier than that. And one of the benefits of that is that, for example, this summer when we bring folks together to do curriculum work and planning, we can do so with an eye on the program which we intend to propose formally in the fall. Why is that important? Well, if we get together this summer and we write curriculum, not based upon an adopted book series, and then we adopt it in the fall, what do we have to do? The following year, we have to update our curriculum again. So it's really kind of led to some positive changes. Now, it's a little bit unorthodox for us to be coming to you at this stage of the game with a recommendation for an adoption. We know that the ultimate length of the adoption and the expenditure is, of course, TBD, ultimately within the confines of the developed budget. But what we would suggest is not TBD, is the fact that we must do a science adoption. And we are recommending that it be K-5. And that is essentially what Mr. Smoker is going to speak to you about. What we're looking for is essentially based upon feedback, information Mr. Smoker presents, and feedback that you may receive from other members of the board who are on the committee, of approving this in concept, that is, the series itself, so that we can move forward with appropriate planning over the summer in advance of the formal proposal in the fall. So I just wanted to kind of put it in its kind of chronological context, because it's not typical that we're talking about new adoptions in June, but this will be kind of the process moving forward as we try and become increasingly proactive about our planning for big new adoptions. And now I turn it over to Mr. Smoker, who obviously has been very instrumental in this process. Mr. Smoker?
Well, thank you, Scott. There is a handout that I think you received. We can, and I will project it over here. Now, it's a far cry, but at least people who don't have access to the handout would be able to follow along. So, as Dr. Cascone said, we're really focused on introducing the plan for elementary science. This would be something that we're hoping to implement starting September of 2019. So, we're giving you the update now for your review and for your information. We'll be recommending a 5-year science dimensions adoption from Houghton, Mifflin, Harcourt, HMH. These are the same people that you approved for our middle school adoption, which this was year 1 of that adoption. That's a 7-year deal. This is going to be proposed or recommended as a 5-year deal so that they both end at the same time. That way, whether we choose to continue or make a change at that point in time, we're able to do it K to 8 for the whole district at once and not have any transition issues. Okay? We'll also speak to the activities to date that have led up to this recommendation and talk about the forward plan of action, things between now and when we would target in the fall of 2018 coming forward with the full adoption proposal. So what have we done? Well, we started by creating the elementary lead science teacher team. This year was the inaugural year. We also complemented that. Dr. Cascone and I invested quite a bit of time in vendor meetings and reviewing and obtaining proposals and quotations. I've spent some time across Middlesex County and the entire state of New Jersey Science Education Leadership Association doing some peer collaborations, getting input and perspective from other districts that are in similar situations, are a little bit ahead or a little bit behind us. And then we also have the experience gained from year one of the implementation at the middle school. So, looking at the elementary lead science teacher team, what was it? It was initiated this year. There were 4 meetings throughout the year. There were 2 teacher representatives from each one of the 12 elementary schools. So we had a good collaborative team, 24 teacher representatives. We did several things. We unpacked the new standards, the next generation science standards. That's the real impetus behind all of this, is the state adopted these standards, and we're now planning to fully support them in September 2019. We then took our curricula that's been approved by the board and contrasted it with the standards as part of the teacher education for the lead science teachers. We looked at, got our hands on 6 vendor options to consider to support our instructional resources in the classroom, and then provided input on what to do for the 18-19 year, which is the year of planning and preparation for a September 19 launch. The next page summarizes the look at the 6 vendors. We had our 24 teachers spend an entire meeting just touching, feeling, going on the internet. I didn't bring the samples over here from central administration, but all kinds of tools that up until this point in time, the elementary teachers have not had access to support their science instruction. There are electronic, digital-based options for students as well as faculty, and there are the hard write-in instructional materials. Very similar, it's the same series as we have in the middle school, same concept. And so in comparing HMH and 5 of the others, we assessed them along 6 criteria. It was a 0 to 5 point rating scale in each of the criteria. You can see the results in front of you on the chart. The HMH series really stood out at the top based on the information that was available right now as something that the teachers really were excited about getting into their classrooms. Okay, so based on all of this information, we are planning to recommend a 5-year program using the HMH, science dimensions, student workbook, consumable pieces, the teacher edition support information, digital and internet resources, and in addition to that, there are science kits, packaged lab activities, if you will. We're recommending one of those per grade level, per building, as part of our plan right now. So somebody's going to say, well, what's the cost? This is a non-negotiated information sheet. This is based strictly on quotations received from the vendor, looking at the 5-year adoption process, and the total $326,000 plus for a 5-year agreement for all 12 elementaries, K to 5, supporting them with all of these resources. Some of the information as outlined there. Again, the asterisk here, we haven't begun to negotiate. This is simply a request for quotation and the response to that. So, what are we doing next? This summer is critical because we're using teachers to prepare for taking advantage of having this early position to plan and demonstrate and practice in the classrooms next year, do pilot programs, do all of the things to prepare our teachers for a full-on launch in September of 2019. Some of the activities here, we're going to be investing time this summer, 2 faculty per grade, to create model units, model lessons, and prepare for this coming year. We're going to form an oversight or steering committee involving some of the elementary principals as well. We're targeting the September 2019 for the full-on launch. So we're going to use the next year for faculty PD and practice. We're going to create model classrooms and units, look at PTA presentations in advance of the launch to get parents on board with us and understanding what they can expect to see that's going to be different in science education in the elementary schools. And we will seek board approval October or November of 2018 for this process. So that's our high-level overview. I hope you found it informative. I'm excited. I think the work that Dr. Hoker, Dr. Cascone, and Dave Cittadino have done to drive the organization to be planning and planning always in advance. Every time we have a planning meeting, it's always earlier than the prior year's one was, have led to this type of result. And so we find it to be a valuable thing to prepare our faculty for being the best at their craft, implementing science in the elementary schools. Questions?
I have a question, please.
Yes.
Since this next year's budget has already been approved, and this is, I guess, a late entry, for lack of a better term, how does this affect monetarily?
Yeah, there is no monies being requested for next year's budget outside of the money for this summer's curriculum writing activities, which I believe was in this year's budget. So the monies would all be in the 1920 budget or beyond. So it's getting so far ahead that, you know, but there will be no financial outlay required. We're planning to use pilot programs with vendor support gratis.
Thank you, Mr. Schmoker.
You're welcome.
And I want to echo one of the things that you said and Dr. Cascone said. You know, when this administration came together with this Board of Education, one of the things the board had shared with us is that their desire to have information in a more timely fashion, or even out maybe extra time, so you wouldn't have to vote on something on short notice. And we've worked hard through our curriculum and personnel pieces to provide that information as timely as we could provide it, either through personnel meetings, curriculum meetings, these smaller committee meetings to get the information out. And I think this kind of speaks to that. We're providing you with the direction of a pretty substantial curriculum adoption, you know, more than 8 months before you have to take action on it, just to give you some time to think about it, have it on your radar, look around as you see pieces moving forward with curriculum writing, and just be aware that change is afoot, and we're going to ask you at one point to support it or weigh in on it. So thank you very much. The only thing else I have under superintendent's report for this, and I'll have another one next week as we close out the school year with our mandatory reporting. I do want to make the board aware that we're bringing back something that I think is very successful and very positive within the community. And if I think of anyone, I ask anyone about Old Bridge and why they moved here and what they're looking for and what they love about the community is that even though it's a large town, it has a small town feel. There's a lot of support within the community for families, and we all recognize that families come in multiple shapes and sizes and what makes up a family, and that's one of the things I love about working with children and families, that, you know, we're there for every family, not just the cookie cutter ones that are, you know, typical. And the way to celebrate families, to let them come out and learn, let them come out and celebrate who they are, and activities where they can just come out and be part of a community. And that's something that came away from when we had World Fest on the GNC property 2 years ago in partnership with the Cultural Arts. I think it was a small event, but large enough for families to get together in a safe environment to celebrate the beginning of the school year, the fall season, and we want to continue that. We're going to continue that into next year for October 5th and 7th. We're going to do it on our own, calling it the Fall Fest. And it's really going to be a celebration of families, a celebration of our school year kicking off, and everything that's wonderful about the fall and families come together. We'll have things such as pumpkin picking right within the event itself. So I know families will have to go out, go one place for pumpkin picking, go one other place. So we're looking to have a trunk or treat, have pumpkin picking, all at the same event. So it's coming to like one-stop shopping for the fall events, the face painting, things of that nature. New items. I know we have one of the reigning spaghetti eating champions on the dais, but because we're sticking with the fall atmosphere, it's going to be a pumpkin pie eating contest. Quickest one through a pumpkin pie. And then we're going to put it out to the first responders too, challenge them. Can the police, fire, or ambulance, who can get to the bottom of a pumpkin pie faster out of that group and have a trophy that they can bring home to their office or their firehouse or whatever to have there until next year's champion can step up. Things like a chili cooking cook-off, where you can, nothing warms up the soul like chili when the weather starts to turn cold. And maybe have one of our celebrity firemen from town be the judge of the cook-off. So I'm sure there'll be some vegetarian chili. Vegan chili, there will be for sure. Nothing like tofu and hot sauce
I'm
to
going
get
to
you going.
perfect my recipe.
Are you entering?
I might just judge, I'm open to all foods.
Because I hear you have a really good recipe.
I do have a good recipe for chili. It's going to be at the GNC again, front lawn of the GNC, and again, there'll be rides, there'll be games, and this will be in partnership with the Old Bridge Ed Foundation, with the schools. We'll invite teams, groups, organizations to come out and work the games for a share of the money that comes back to their group or organization through the Ed Foundation grants, and certainly some revenue to come back to our districts that we can put towards back towards our schools and our programs. So, Fall Fest, Old Bridge Fall Fest, a family Fall Fest. Okay. All right. That's all I have at this time. So is there any objection to either one of those proposals? Any objection to the going forward so far with the elementary adoption or the Fall Fest?
Mr. Citadine, I just wanted to also clarify one of the things with the science elementary program is that we currently don't have a science program in the early grades right now. Is that correct? K1, 2? Not formal.
There's curriculum,
There-
but in terms of, the curriculum is consistent, but in terms of the supporting resources,
Right,
that can vary from school to school.
Right.
In Grade 5, we have a program.
Mhm.
But again, I think what's happened, Mr. Carroll, is that in the absence of resources, teachers have brought innovations to bear, and some of them are fantastic.
Right,
They're
right.
not always necessarily consistent.
exactly. Right, so this would bring a little bit more consistency to the lower, a lot more consistency, exactly, to the lower grades. I just wanted to bring that point out because I wasn't sure if that was clear, which I think I think it's a very good thing. Yeah.
With that going forward, that's my superintendent's report. If there's any questions about your participation, any group's participation in the Old Bridge Family Fall Fest, they can reach out to Ms. Costain, who's the point person on that, under her revenue hat. Thank you. Yes.
Just for the board members, between now and the next board meeting, we're happy to put out samples of the materials in the board conference room. We furnished the board curriculum committee members with grade level sets that they were able to take home. So if you want to take a look at those or even bring a set home and review them, we're happy to do that. We also have one of the science kits, the full lab kits in the central office. So again, you're more than welcome to come in and check them out.
Yeah. Okay. So, as Mr. Citadino just said, we are going to do the approval of all the recognition that's on the agenda at the next meeting. So we won't be voting on that this evening. Correspondence, Mr. Mayor, I know you have some.
Yeah, I do have correspondence from Lori Ann Coletti, M.A., principal of James A. McDivitt School, and it's addressed to the Old Bridge Board of Education, and it's dated June 18th, 2018. Dear outstanding educational supporters, in 1968, the Madison Township Board of Education opened a new school. The board named the school in honor of a national hero, Brigadier General, U.S. Air Force retired NASA astronaut James A. McDivitt, in the hopes of inspiring our children to reach for the stars, follow their dreams, and become responsible citizens. The mid-1960s was the time of great school expansion for our town. Enrollment had climbed from 1,070 in 1940 to 9,226 in 1965. The forecast of enrollment was 14,200 by 1970. With thought of preparing for these possible students, the Board of Education embarked on a major journey of providing for our future student population. Madison Township was the first community in the nation to honor all 7 space pioneers of the Mercury flights. The first phase of expansion saw 122 classrooms at 8 locations opened for the 1965-1966 school year, allowing for single-session classes for the first time in many years. The superintendent of schools was John Corey, and the mayor of Madison Township was Harry Messinger. The second phase of the expansion included James A. McDivitt, Sauk, Sandburg, and Cedar Ridge High School. McDivitt was opened in 1968. The superintendent was Joseph Brust. Board of Education president was William Rice. Vice president was Francis White, and board members were Donald Bates, James Ford, Edward Gardner, William Kerr, Carol Kozabuki, Richard Pine, and Edward Robertson. The board secretary was Arnold Ramsland. It is a pleasure to remember these dedicated individuals who had the foresight to plan for our growing community. It has been 50 years since James A. McDivitt was opened. Over the years, our town grew and changed. We renamed ourselves to Old Bridge Township. We merged our high school to create Old Bridge High School. We repurposed a few of our buildings. We built the administration building, and we've increased security. For as much change as we have encountered, the Old Bridge Public Schools have remained a constant source of quality education, thoughtful leaders focused on what benefits students, and a strong family community. James A. McDivitt School continues to celebrate our 50th anniversary year. We are honored to recognize the devoted members of our current Board of Education who continue to support outstanding education and exemplify collaborative community. Please accept this small token of appreciation and thank you for the time, effort, heart, and soul you put into providing for our most precious treasures, the students of Old Bridge. Sincerely, Lori Ann Coletti, principal of James A. McDivitt School.
McDivitt School is indeed 50 years old this year, 2018, and we're not done celebrating. This year we decided to give back to our community rather than look for gifts. And so far we've given back to the police department, the fire department, the first aid squad, the Elks, the library, Camp Robin, the YMCA, Central Administration. I don't know how many more people are on the list. There were quite a few. Our last gift goes to all of you, our Board of Education, who have been so supportive of everything that goes on here in our school district. You look for the best for our children. We may not always agree with everything, but that's what democracy is. We look to the best and we try our best to do the best for our children. They are our most precious treasures, and we want to continue to bring quality education to them. They deserve it. So on behalf of McDivitt School students, Lily would like to present this. There is a wristband that says Happy 50th Anniversary for each of you. Also, for part of our 50th anniversary, Mr. Lavallo brought trees to our school to celebrate Arbor Day. They chose our school because of our 50th anniversary. It was very sweet. And we were gifted many things, one of them being trees for all our 5th graders. Did you take yours home today? Which kind did you get, an oak tree or a dogwood? You got an oak tree. Well, this is a dogwood, and I wrapped it up in wet paper towels. It has to get planted sooner, it's going to die. So this is for our Board of Education. I figured you could use it over at your nice building and maybe grow some shade. So enjoy.
Thank you, Mrs. Coletti.
Mrs. Keller, can I just say something, please? Mrs. Coletti, that's like so nice. I don't even know what to say. Thank you so much. That was really sweet. Thank you, sweetheart, for the gift.
It is my pleasure. I feel, you know what, being on
Thank you so much.
I just want to add that every time I've been in McDivitt School this year, Mrs. Coletti has had bags stacked up in her office with thank you cards from the students to all of the organizations she's mentioned. So that's no exaggeration to the number of groups and organizations and people that she has sent these gift baskets to and recognized.
Okay, moving on. Do we have any special committee reports for next week?
I should have one.
Okay,
Yeah, we have one for curriculum also.
okay. Anybody else? No? Okay. Facilities use, I don't know if we have any questions on that. Hearing of residents, agenda items only. Anybody?
Thank you.
Going once, going twice, okay. Okay. Moving on to policy. Are we going to explain any of that, or?
Explain the letter that you
Okay. Now or at the regular meeting? Okay.
Under policy, we did have a committee meeting last Tuesday, and since then, I think all board members received a letter from Ms. Burns on behalf of CPAG with regard to the change or replacement of the physical restraint and seclusion policy. Mr. Cittadino and Dr. Hoker and Dr. Tui and I will be taking a look at that paragraph to see if it should be added in. This is only a first reading, and it's happening next week, so we may update that, but I know that went directly to board members, so I wanted you to know that that is being looked at. All the other policies were discussed at length last week. Most of them are mandated, so they are what they are. Yes, Ms. Callie, bylaw 0152 is board officers. In 2013, it was the consensus of the board policy committee to change the format of board officer election, the process of that. At this point, this first reading for next week will be a reversion of those procedures back to the way that they used to be. That is the consensus of the current board policy committee. So if anyone wants to talk about that next week as part of the first reading discussion, we can absolutely do that, but that is why that is on the agenda for next week. The other one, the regulation 5200 attendance, does not require a board vote at all. That is on for a first reading, but it really will never go for board action because it is a regulation that implements your policy. I appreciate the byline on that, but it really goes to Dr. Hoker and a large committee that spent a great deal of time on that. And that's it for policy.
Thank you, Mr. Parton. Okay, it doesn't look like we have anything under curriculum professional development. Oh, actually, we do, sorry. Any questions about that? Okay, 1 through 10, okay. Athletics. Nobody? Okay. Finance, we do have an action item, so I will need a motion to move finance number 1. Can I have a motion, please?
DeCarroll, motion.
Okay.
Reed will second.
Any discussion? Okay, Mr. Mayor, roll call, please.
DeCarroll,
Yes.
DePrima,
Yes.
Dinoff,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Singh,
Yes.
Silikowski,
Yes.
Callie.
Yes.
Resolution 1 passes.
Excuse me, okay, any discussion on 2 through 26? No? Okay. Non-certificated personnel office, 1 through 10. Anybody? Okay, non-certificated personnel operational, 1 through 3. Non-certificated personnel other, 1 through 10.
Just on that one, on numbers 8 and 9, if your name is Jill or Walter, if you could just take a look at attachments C1 and C2 before next week and abstain if appropriate.
Certificated personnel, 1 through, wow, 40. Any comments, questions, anything? I'll give you another second. Okay. Non-certificated personnel transportation. We have 1 through 2. Okay, and we have an action item under supplies, equipment, and services, so, I'm sorry, under number 3. Oh, I'm sorry, 1, 2, and 3. I'll need a motion for that, please,
Dinoff will move.
and a second.
DeCaro will second.
Okay, any comments or discussion? Okay, roll call, Mr. Mara?
DeCaro?
Yes.
DePrima?
Yes.
Dinoff?
Yes.
Reed?
Yes.
Singh? Silikowski?
Yes.
Callie?
Yes.
Motions 1 through 3 pass.
Okay, and then we have 4 through 25. 4 through 25. It's a big agenda. Okay. All right, transportation. We'll have 1 through 8. Any discussion or questions on that? Okay. Miscellaneous, 1 through 8. Anybody? Okay. Then we're going to move on to hearing of residents on any school district issue. Anybody? Okay. All right, any old business? Any new business? Okay.
Just under, I guess, new business. Reminder that Old Bridge High School graduation is on the 25th, Monday morning, starts approximately 9 a.m. As you board members may be aware, I will not be able to attend for the first time Old Bridge High School graduation this year. The Department of Education has selected that week as mandatory training for school administrators designated as the school safety specialists from every district. I am the school safety specialist for Old Bridge. It means I'm the liaison with the police department and responsible for making sure that schools are up to date and personnel is trained and we have the appropriate services in place to keep our students and our staff safe with our schools. And their infinite wisdom, they scheduled it during the last week of June when schools have graduations. I've heard some districts are even moving graduation to before the last day of school, which you're not allowed to do either, but they're doing that as well. So I checked with the state, if I can arrive late to the training, and they said no. To receive the certification for the state, you have to be there every day, Monday through Thursday, from 8:45 till 4 p.m. So that is where I will be on that morning. Dr. Hoker will handle my address and honoring the students, and we'll have a special guest there as well. So.
Okay. I think we have executive session, so I need a motion.
Yeah, you need a motion for exec session for contract issues involving shared services with the township, custodial services, and food service management.
Okay, can I have a motion?
DeCarlo, motion?
DeCaro, okay.
Dinoff will second.
Second, all those in favor? Anybody opposed? Okay.